How to live.
So we are very excited to have here with us today Kristina Karlsson, who is the founder and creative director of global Swedish design stationery business kikki.K, which has 102 stores, is stocked in another 250, and is sold online to more than 147 countries worldwide. She's also a sought-after international speaker, author of the book Your Dream Life Starts Here. She's a passionate learner and self-improver, and the proud mother of 2 children, Axel and Tiffany, with her partner Paul. Welcome, Kristina.
Well, thank you. Sorry, now I took over the podcast. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that lovely introduction.
No worries, that's quite a long list of accomplishments you've got there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we were actually lucky enough to meet with you when we came along to one of your Dreamer workshops, which was absolutely amazing. And we're here in your office today, which is so beautiful. We were saying when we walked in, you immediately feel this like wave of zen that comes over you, and there are amazing quotes up on the wall about teamwork and about encouragement, which is so cool to see, and especially with us developing our office at the moment, definitely got some inspiration going on.
I'm glad.
Yeah, we were particularly impressed when we walked in and we saw a sign that said "Welcome, Jess and Stef." We thought that was such a nice way to welcome people.
Yeah, and it's a really nice, so simple to do, but it's so lovely. Everyone feels special, and that's how we want people to feel when they come here.
Totally, yeah, so simple, like it's just written on a blackboard and it's really clever.
Yeah, we get a lot of people Instagramming it and loving it, so that's good that you felt that way.
We did. How long have you been in these offices for?
Oh, many years now. Probably close to 10, I think.
Oh, cool.
Okay, it's so nice and I love it. You're so close to the beach as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Such a good area.
And you've got your store downstairs as well.
Yes, perfect. So
amazing.
We need to be reminded sometimes that we are in retail, because sometimes when you work in an office, you forget about that we have over 100 stores. It's always a good reminder to go down and see what goes on.
Yeah, well, your Port Melbourne store must receive a lot of love there, and I feel like our listeners should come and check it out, because there are probably merchandisers there every day working everything out.
It's not always like that. Sometimes it's the one that's least looked after because it's so close. So that's often the case.
Okay. And so we were really excited when we were at the Masterclass series in Melbourne recently that your kids opened the show. That was so cool. Did you have to like coax them into that, or were they just...
They're very much kikki.K products in terms of they've grown up in this environment, and they love dreaming, and they create their own vision boards, and they have their own dreams, and so they're very much part of the kikki.K culture. So no, they were very excited to do it, and there was probably a couple of years ago when I was in London doing a talk, and it was one of our own events, and it was just our own event, so we didn't have an MC to introduce me. So Axel came up just before I was sitting there ready to go. The microphone was on the table and I was ready to go and talk, and Axel said, "Who's introducing you?" And I'm like, I don't know, I don't think it's just going to be, I'm just going to go up there, I don't really need to introduce, it's just a simple talk. And he's like, "Maybe I should do it." And I said, "Well, if you want to." So he did. And it's I think he's just been so much part. Definitely, his school is encouraging public speaking and being comfortable talking in front of people and having their own point of view. But I think also having been brought up in this environment, I think that they think no dream is impossible, and they actually do tell me that sometimes I find it really frustrating when they're dreaming so big that it's I feel like I need to take them down. And sometimes dreams that is not really in line with what I think.
But to get up in front of what were there, 800 people there?
Yeah.
And how old are they?
So Axel is 10 and Tiffany is 7.
That's just
and Axel
incredible.
went out without papers. I don't know if you noticed it, but he had a script that he was going to follow. But last minute he decided not to have that.
Oh my gosh!
That was like I wouldn't have done that, but he did really well, and I'm very proud.
What a cool life skill! I know when we started doing public speaking, it was like super daunting, and we were like 25 when we started doing it. So the fact that he's able to get up there at 10 and just like wing it is pretty impressive. So he must be doing lots of good things at home, I'm sure. It's not just the schooling.
No, I think there's also, they're really used to it. So, you know, they're growing up with events and seeing me speak, and I think that has a lot to do with it as well. And we encourage them to dream, and we often at night talk about, we call it the 4Gs. So one thing they're grateful for, the good thing that happened today, the goal for tomorrow, and the gram of the day is like the visual of the day. So Tiffany doesn't have Instagram, but I mean she does, but not an open one. So that's more about the visual. If we could take a photo today to remember, what would we take a photo of? So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
Did you come up with that? Did you come up with that yourself?
We use the 4Gs, one of Axel's friends actually added to. We used to do the highlight of the day, the grateful of the day, and one more, and then he got the gram in, and the 4G was what they called. So I think it was a combination of a couple of things. But we've done it for years, like the gratitude and the highlight of the day we've done since Tiffany could speak.
Wow. That's so cool. And you were obviously really ahead of your time as well, because I feel like gratitude and things like that are, you know, in 2018 is like a big thing, but if you've been doing it for years and years with your kids.
Yeah, I think it's always been around, but it's more, I think people are wanting to connect better, and you know, there's people are more connected than ever, but they actually want to be more connected than ever. So being grateful and having all those beautiful feelings is really important today.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you call yourself a self-improver. That is just the coolest thing ever. The second I read that, I was like, wow, I really identify with that. I didn't know there was a term for it, but self-improve I think is really cool, because we can all be improving. You know, no one is perfect in every way. Our enjoyment in life, even, everything could be enhanced. Yeah, so I think that's so cool.
Yeah, and it gets, I don't know what that word came from, but I feel like there's always something that we can improve on, and I love that. I love reading books, and I love hearing other people's tips on how they're living their best life, and I'm always very curious about how we can be more productive but also happier, and you know, are there some habits that we could remove or add? I'm always on the look for, and I love this time of year where I reflect on the year that has been, and then I set all my dreams for next year. So it's extra exciting this time of year.
And you have an amazing dream, which is to inspire and empower 100 million people around the world to write down 3 dreams and go chase them. And we want to hear all about that today. But we thought before we dive into that, we could just start with how you kind of got your beginning, how kikki.K started. We know you came to Australia when you were 22.
Yeah.
What brought you to Australia?
So I met Paul, my partner in life and also my business partner, in a ski resort in Austria when I was 22. And this was when I was like kind of spent a few years traveling after schools, and I was kind of ready to really think about what I was going to do in life. And then I met Paul, and I thought I'll do 1 year in Australia and then see. And then he was a really nice man, and Australia was a really great country, so I decided to stay. And when I decided to stay, this is before internet. I mean, this is when internet is starting to happen, and I was spending all my money on phone bills, because you know, FaceTime wasn't existing, and you know, fax is what we did. If I needed a recipe from mom, that was fax, and I was spending a lot of time working out if I was going to stay here, because this, you know, Australia is so far away, especially when you're not connected the way we are connected now. Mm-hmm. And so I was really trying to work out what I was going to do. And then my little brother was sick at the time, so I had to go home urgently a couple of times. So I was just like, if I'm going to stay here, I have to do something I really love, and I have to make it really, and you know, I wanted to create a life that I wanted to do. So I at the time I was kind of asking Paul like 1 million times a day what I'm going to do with my life, you know, what would you do for you and me, would you stay, would you go, all those kind of questions. And then I think I was complaining a little bit too much, researching a little bit too much. So I, at 3 in one morning, woke him up for the 5th time saying what I'm going to do with my life. And he then said, why don't we write down what is important to you? So at 3 a.m. I wrote down my first my first dreams on paper. And on that paper I had that I wanted to drive every day and loving it, like really would be excited driving to work. I wanted to have a business on my own, but I didn't know what that was going to be. I wanted to have a connection with Sweden. I wanted to work with Swedish design. That was one of my passions. And then I wanted to make $500 a week. And the $500 were basically based on rent, food, a home trip once a year, and phone bills, and some good food. So that was kind of that I felt that was a stretch at the time. That's what I needed. And then I looked for quite a few different areas. I got into travel and realized that I love travel, but didn't love booking other people's travels.
Yeah, it's not as good when you're like sitting and watching people on holiday.
No, and booking. I was working for a corporate travel agency, but it was perfect because I got to know that wasn't for me, and I learned so much. And English my second language, so it was a really great learning ground. And then I was continuing my search, and then I looked at my little dream list, my 3M list, and I had on my list that I wanted to have my own business. And then I thought, if I'm going to have my own business, I have to have a beautiful home office, and be really. I love productivity. I love being inspired, and so I went out. And this is there's so much around now, but back then it was really boring in my view. It was price-driven products. It was like the big box retailers or the department stores or the news agents, and it wasn't anything exciting. And then I got very excited, and I thought, this is my calling. And I rushed home to Paul, and I said, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to open beautiful Swedish design stores around the world, in my favorite cities being Paris, London, New York, and etc. And we're not all there yet, but we now have over 100 stores in 5 countries.
That's so cool. I love that you just mentioned that you immediately had this vision for going global.
Yeah.
And I think like that's something so cool throughout the whole dream life that we've been learning about, is that like no dream is too big. And that's really cool that you were able to identify, no, I just don't just want a store in Melbourne, I want hundreds of stores around the world, and you are well going there now.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and it was a big dream and a big vision, and I feel like we're kind of just getting started in many ways, because we still have I love New York t-shirts to our board meetings to make sure that we are going to get to New York one day. just a reminder. Sometimes I buy those t-shirts for other board members, and some people find me a little bit annoying, but that's
amazing. I love that. Well, I feel like it's so unique, your product as well, so it would speak to any market in New York, definitely.
Yeah, and we sell to Nordstrom in the US, and we're also done a partnership with the US now, so we sell to much broader customers as well. But one day to have that opening in New York will be really exciting.
Well, we can't wait for that day. We'll be there shopping for sure.
Fantastic.
So once you've had that dream, what did you do from there? How did you kind of grow it into what it is today?
So I had no idea about anything, and for any listeners out there, it's a good thing sometimes, because I wasn't educated on how things should be, but I had to learn it the hard way by doing it, and also learning from other people. So I actually just started with S for stationery yellow pages, and this is when the paper books of stationery yellow pages, when the yellow pages were a paper book, and I just went basically for every manufacturer, every paper company, and I was so excited. I was talking about my global vision, but I had no idea how to put together a notebook. So it was a bit challenging, but then I was having coffees with loads of different people who have been in retail to learn what I thought was, I took in what I thought was important for us. And then eventually I didn't have any money, so we started to almost like selling to almost like I call it research groups, but it was basically a party plan kind of selling, just to really understand.
Or like a Tupperware party kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was really good, because I got a chance to actually sell the products, because it's one thing to say that you're going to buy something, but another thing to actually buy it, give me the money. And then it was also really good feedback, see what was working and not working, and getting the feedback, and also getting to know, because I had no networking whatsoever, so I kind of learned, got to know a lot of people. So then I was really wanting to open a retail store, and I didn't have any money, and then I decided to see if Paul could potentially sell his house to open the first store.
Come on, Paul, sell your house.
So he did, and that was really that was such an exciting time. And this is, you know, when 9/11 just happened in New York, so that was a challenging time for the world, and the retail wasn't in great shape. So I thought, if we're going to make it now, we'll make it anywhere, kind of thing. So we started, and then we have gone from there to over 100 stores now. But it's been a long journey and a hard-working journey, but also a very exciting journey.
That's really interesting how you just kind of learned from a lot of people after you decided you wanted to do stationery. It's actually really similar to what happened with us.
Yeah.
We just like, one day we had been doing How to Live, our blog, and we were like, we want to start a shoe label, but we know absolutely nothing about shoes. So like, same deal. It wasn't in the Yellow Pages era, but we literally just kind of like put the call out to anyone we knew working in retail or working in shoes, and we just sat with them and they explained everything to us. So like, I definitely see similarities there, which is cool.
Absolutely. And it's a really good message for your listeners that you don't have to be great to start, but you actually have to start to be great. And some of us can research until there is no more research to do, but sometimes just starting it and doing it and learning along the way is really powerful and really the way to go, I think.
100%.
Totally. And I think that's really relevant for us as well, because we're just starting out this podcast, and our PR girl actually came to us and we were like, can you write a list of people you think would be great for the podcast? And she brought the list to us, and it was people that we felt like would say yes to being on our podcast. And we were like, all right, go away, have another think, come back with a really unrealistic list of people who we think will never say yes to being on our podcast. And Kristina Karlsson was on that list. And
am I unrealistic?
Well, we didn't think that you would say yes. We had no previous connections, and we've always admired and loved your brand, and think of you as like one of the biggest girl bosses in Melbourne. So we were like, surely she won't say yes, but we were very happy that you did.
And can we ask, why did you say yes? Like, were you just, I think, received a cold email from our PR team to your PR team?
No, I mean, I get a lot of requests, but I think what you guys are doing is really inspiring, and also for me, to inspire 101 million people around the world, I need to get that message out there. So I did it because of that, but also to support you, and I love being part of a startup podcast, because I've just started my own podcast, and I did something really similar in terms of writing lists, but I did one step further that you might want to consider doing. So on my podcast, Your Dream Life podcast, I have me as a vision when we do the Instagrams, and picture of me and the guest. That's how we promote it. And
we'll have to take a photo with you after.
Yes. And
taking notes.
Yes, I have then sourced images of people that I think is impossible, Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, all those, and I have that in my vision board, so I can see it every day and make sure that if I ever get the opportunity, it feels really normal.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. What a good idea.
Yeah.
We actually do something similar when we're like trying to pitch ourselves. We'll create the collaboration and just send it to the brand to really like put it all out there and be like, look, we've already created the collaboration.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
We promise.
Yeah.
So maybe you can send it to Oprah and say, look, you're already on my podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. You never know, and seeing it visually and reminds you that it's possible, and that you just have to work out how to do it. So that's exciting.
Totally.
Amazing.
So I love that your whole business concept, kikki.K started with you getting up in the middle of the night and writing down your dreams. Is that when you reached a point with kikki.K where you felt like you were really happy in achieving your dreams? Is that when you kind of turned around and decided, all right, I want to share this with the world now, and I want to help other people to chase their dreams?
A little bit like that. I feel like there's a few deep books within me. One is the kikki.K journey, which is more the business side, and I'd love to do that one day, but I feel like I'm right in the middle of that, so that wasn't relevant for now. But I do a lot of talks around the world, and every single time I finish, I always have a few people coming up and saying, where should I start? And if I could buy one product from kikki.K, which one should I buy to get myself started? And that often has to be like a conversation, asking where they are and what do they want to do, and And I feel like there are so many of those people that I can't do that to everyone because there's just not enough time, and I don't have to, and I always encourage people to seek out people they want to have for coffees, but it's impossible for me to have coffees every day with people. So I actually went away with my journal for 3 days, no phone, no books. The phone I'm fine with, books is a real issue for me because I love reading. But I went away just to come up with some creative new ideas for 3 days. This was in Sweden, and when I came back I had the kind of structure of a book that I felt that I could then share with the people who see me speak or want to take that next level in terms of how to create their dream life. And I love how it came, because when I started, there was a lot of thoughts and a lot of things I wanted to share, but the beginning of everything I feel is to dream in part. And if we, for example, if I ask you guys what's your goals for next year, you'd be saying, maybe you guys are not the right example because
we're big dreamers.
But if I ask the average person in terms of, what are your goals for next year, most people would stretch themselves a little bit, and they would set goals that are stretchy but achievable, which is what they what they should probably be doing. But that sometimes gets us deeper and deeper into things that we might not want to do, and so many of us are influenced by parents or teachers or the education they did, and sometimes we find ourselves in different roles that we might not have chosen if we could start again. So I love encouraging people and really to stop for a moment and think about their reality, and actually asking themselves a few questions. And those questions are, what would you do if you couldn't fail? Because I think so many of us stop us doing things that we want to do because we're not sure if we can actually do it. So what would you do if you couldn't fail? What would you do if you had all the money? Because a lot of people say, well, it's easy to say if to do this, but if I don't have the money. So if you had all the money, what would you actually do with your life? And if you had all the energy and the resources and the knowledge is another one, because be like, yeah, but I would love to start a business, but I don't know how. But if you could do that, what would you actually do? What kind of business would that be, and what would you do with your life if you could do anything? And it's such an amazing headspace to be like. I love dreaming, and I encourage people to do that all the time, to actually, if I couldn't fail, what would I do? And that really pushed me into doing my own podcast, because that was something that it's not really, English is my second language, and I'm used to being interviewed but not interviewing other people. So I was like, I don't know if I could do that, and I don't know if I'll, will I have the time, and will I actually do it? And
we know the struggle.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing to say that you can do it, but then another one to follow up. And
totally, there have been many Google searches how to conduct a good interview. Like you got to start from scratch.
Absolutely. So I think the dreaming part is so important, and then I want to inspire 101 million people to do that, because I think the ripple effect of that, people doing what they love, is really going to be amazing. So that's my big focus.
And putting that out there, that is your dream, and starting to contact people like Tara Trent, who you interviewed on your podcast, who definitely we encourage all of our listeners to go and listen to, because her story is incredible. But was it daunting, and was there any fear involved? That's a big dream.
Yeah,
101 million people, or were you just like, nah, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it?
No, there was no fear, because it's like it's a big dream, and it's not like someone's going to say if you only do 99 million people, it's not
not good enough.
But funny saying that, I was in Adelaide doing a store signing when the book was launched, and there was this guy who came up and he said, do you know how many people are living in the world? And I'm like, yeah, roughly. And he said, well, 101 million is not dreaming big enough. So I was like, yeah, it's relative.
Wow.
So
he sounds great. Let's have him on now.
But I think, there's no fear, but there's definitely thoughts going in every single morning, how are we going to do this? And that keeps me awake, not awake at night, but it keeps me motivated to really, think big, and, who do we need to have on our podcast, and who do we need to have in our books that are big dreamers.
And are you taking it like day by day and thinking of it week to week, or is it really, you know, you're visualizing this larger goal and then you create a roadmap of how you're going to get there?
Yeah, so we are doing, I mean, our strategy is really pretty big in terms of, you know, global reach, and we're going to do e-learning, and we're going to do, you know, we're selling globally to 147 countries. So yes, we have a big, ambitious strategic plan to make this all happen.
Cool.
Amazing. So we'd love to kind of dive into it. You know, your Dream Life Starts Here, your book, you kind of run people through how to dream. It's kind of like a to-do on dreaming, because it's not just about thinking of something. There are actually steps that you need to go through in order to achieve those dreams, and also, I can't remember what you call it, but it's like structuring it in a way that...
Smart. I think you call it dreaming smart, which I really like.
Smart dream. So basically similar to a SMART goal, but just to do it in a dream, because we you know, the dream is what we're focusing on, but you can basically, you know, then turn that turn that into SMART goals, but I call it SMART dreams because they are mini dreams as part of your big dreams.
So what is this what you're going to ask?
Yes.
So what is the difference between a dream and a goal?
So a dream, the way that I have structured in the book is that I love everyone to come up with 101 dreams, and these could be small dreams, big dreams, impossible dreams, but also dreams that they could potentially do straight away. If I ask you to come up with 101 goals, you feel overwhelmed, because goals is often something you need to take action on. Dreams is whatever you want it to be. So this could be really, you know, if you couldn't fail, you know, maybe you would change career, maybe you would move to another country, maybe you will study a language, you know, maybe you will, I don't know, stop working for a year. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, those ambitious goals or ambitious dreams. It could be something that is actually stepping back, going slower, you know, could be anything, versus goals are often more like, you know, what am I going to achieve? So I like to separate them completely, and really encourage people to take some time out of their busy life and really think, if I couldn't fail, and if I had all the money, the resources, the knowledge and the energy, what would I actually do with my life? And start from there, and really thinking about your dream life, because I think so many people realize it a bit too late that you are actually in charge of your life, and some people find that really challenging, because they say, well, I grew up in a very unfortunate area, or with unfortunate parents that couldn't look after me or educate me, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, whatever our situations are, us and only us can make the change. And I really love for people to actually take some time to really think that if they couldn't fail, what would they actually do with their life? And I have included people like Dr. Tara Wright-Trent, who is on my number one episode on our podcast. And the reason why I wanted to have her there is because she grew up in the most unfortunate culture that you could possibly think of. For us, it's even hard to
unimaginable.
Get there. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, was married away at 11 as an 11-year-old, had 5 kids, I think, by 18, and no money, no running water, no electricity, all the things that, you know, we have.
And take for granted sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. And she had this massive dream to get an education, and she had this massive dream to eventually get a PhD, which for her seemed absolutely impossible, because she didn't even have a primary school education. Her brothers got the education. So having stories like that in my book, I think, will inspire people to think that whatever dream that they have is possible. Doesn't mean it's an easy one. Living your dream life is not an easy life. Like, it's not like I'm just happy 24/7 and I am living my perfect life, because every dream has its challenges. Like, you know, if you're not living your dream life, that would be challenging. But if you're actually taking the step to really create your dream life, that would be challenging, because there will be new things that you need to do or learn. So I think that's always important to say, that it doesn't mean that everything is perfect, because there's no such a thing as perfect. And I want to add one more thing about the book, because when I wrote the book, I always had this sense, even as a child, that life is short, and my dream is to live to 120. You know, it's not impossible for people being born now, I think, to be 120, maybe a little bit more challenging for my age, but I'm going to aim for that. And when I set that dream, it's like, you know, what do I need to do to, you know, keep fit and keep healthy mentally, all those kind of things, and making sure that I'm on top of things to if there are anything that comes up that can help our life to live long. But one book that I read is by Bronnie Ware, and her I think the title is The 5 Regrets of the Dying. So she was a palliative caretaker, and she interviewed people who were dying, asking about their regrets. And the most common regret is that people didn't live a life true to themselves. And I think that is so sad.
That is so sad.
Yeah, because I think, you know, I can understand it in so many ways, because we have parents and we have, you know, peer pressure, or maybe school pressure, or teachers, or whatever it is, or you spend, you know, 8 years studying medicine and realize that it's not really for me, but now I'm going to have to pay it back, and, you know, all those kind of thoughts. And I find that so sad, because I think in the end of the day, no one is actually going to tell you what's right and wrong. They might have some opinions along the way, but at the end of the day, it's your life, and it's only, you are the only person who can make the change.
Yeah, it is sad, but it's also kind of cool if you think about it, that it's an opportunity that we can change it. Like, it's actually something that you do for yourself, and you make those decisions, which almost gives me comfort in a certain way.
Empowering.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why I think, you know, starting with dream is because you don't have to make all your dreams come true. But if you set goals, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to take action on this, because that's how goals work. Versus a dream, it can be like 101 dreams, and it might be a dream that you want to achieve, you know, when you're older, or maybe there are, you know, one of my dreams is to create my own dream home one day. And I'm not going to do that now, but I'm still, you know, pinning some, you know, things for my house and thinking about it, and one day I'll be ready to do that. But I love dreaming, because it's something that you can have in the backbone, and you can think about it every day and add to it. And there's also a list in the book about 101 people to meet.
Yes.
I love that, because I put the most impossible people on that.
We have someone in common, and you achieved it. We wanted to ask you about that. Stella McCartney was on your list of people you wanted to meet, and you managed to get a cup of tea with her. How did you even possibly go about that?
Yeah, you know, I had it on my list. It took me 3 years, and the reason why I wanted to meet her in the first place was because she is such an inspiring lady. So she grew up in a very fortunate culture, in terms of having 2 well-known parents and everything that you possibly could ask for. But sometimes I think that is actually more challenging, because you have high expectations, and you have you know, it's hard to actually find your own voice. And what I love about her, first, I love her fashion style, and I love her what she's done with her brand, and I love her style, and also I love what she does to our Mother Earth. So I love what she does to the environment, and coming up with new materials that are better for the environment. And also, she's a vegan, so she does nothing with animals. And
we find that super inspiring as well, because our fashion label Tubes is actually completely vegan, and everything we do with How to Live, all the brands that we stock, are also animal friendly. So we also find her super inspiring.
And she does a great job of weaving her values into her business, which I think you also do such a great job of as well. You know, like even like with her eco-friendly stores, like I was listening to something and she said, I want to be the most eco-friendly store, which is, you know, it's just like, and her board looked at her like, you're absolutely nuts, and she was like, nah, we're gonna do it, which is so cool.
So how did you actually meet
her? So I put it on my list, so 101 people to meet, so I put it on the list, and then I so every year I think, you know, who is it possible to meet, and you know, sometimes I look at seminars. So a lot of my people that I want to meet are authors, or, you know, people in the personal development area, or people who achieved extraordinary things, like Arianna Huffington, and you know,
Who you've met as well.
Michelle
You've got her
Obama,
book
all
sitting
those
behind you.
amazing people. But so Stella, I started to think about how can I meet with her. So my question is never what, like it's always who knows her. Who do I know who might know someone, who might know someone, who might know someone. And I never want to do it in a painful way, like I don't want to be a stalker or anything like that. So it's really important to me that it's done in my authentic way. So I asked a lot of people, and you know, I came across a couple of people who knew her dad, but he's so famous, so that was kind of difficult as well. So I kept looking for it and thinking about it, and it was kind of part of my action plan to think about it. So I thought about it, and then I read an article about her that she has 4 kids, and I'm thinking most kids love stationery, so I thought maybe I'd send her some products. And so I started sending her product, and then she loved what we did, and then she started sending us products, and you know, the kids now wear Stella McCartney as if it's you know, part of their wardrobe, and I like sometimes we get a delivery and Tiffany's like, oh, there's a delivery pack from Stella McCartney, as she knows. And I love that. And then, so we started to exchange things, and you know, me loving what she's doing, and the other way around. And then I told her that she was on my list to meet one day, see if there was ever an opportunity. And then one day she invited me to her office for a cup of tea. So that was really nice.
Wow.
And she's so, you know, she's as lovely as we are reading and seeing and hearing about her. So.
That's so incredible. I love that you just go for it. You just completely put yourself out there, and you know, now listening to you speak, it makes so much sense that you're the person that's inspiring other people to dream, because you just dream so big.
Yeah, and I think it's also a really important thing to mention about when you're approaching other people, that it's never just about, I never see it as just about me. So I always think, you know, how can I add value to their lives. So obviously, you know, bringing stationery and stuff for her was a given, but anyone you meet, it's always a win-win. So it's not just about, you know, I just want to meet you and tick you off kind of thing. It's more about, you know, that engagement, and you know, how can we help each other, and how can we make the world a better place together. So that's how I see everything. So it was the same with Ariana. She was on my list. I love what she's doing, and I loved doing her online course on thriving. And then I was like, I felt like I was missing the paper bit, like she was doing an e-learning course, and I felt like I wish I had all those questions she's asking already pre-printed, so I could just do the work. And then I was like, maybe we should just do that. So we did that, and then I sent it to her, similar to what you guys did with the collaboration. Cool. It's like, love to do this. You know, you can change it, edit it, or say no. And then we love to do books, so we do kikki.K covers on books that we love, and that's how that happened. And then, you know, I love how I sometimes ask, you know, because one of my other dreams is to sell 1 million copies of the book, and the reason why I want to do that is obviously to share more the resources for a lot of people to dream, but also we're giving $1 per book sold to Dr. Tara's Trent Foundation to support her 11 schools in Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
that
that's
was supported
amazing.
by Oprah. So that keeps me really focused on that number. So I want to give her that big check of $1 million. And so I reached out to Ariana, you know, how do I sell 1 million books? And you know, it's always I love how she's. I love Ariana. She's everything that I love, because she's just really straight. She's really, you know, she's gone through some hard yards, and now sharing it in terms of, you know, she wants everyone to thrive, and I love working with her. So it's really exciting when you have a common dream and common interest to help each other and make the world a better place that way.
Totally. So we were lucky enough to come to your Dream Life Masterclass recently in Melbourne, which we absolutely loved. It was on a Monday night, and I'm not going to lie, we were exhausted from work, and we'd had a hard Monday, like most people I'm sure coming, and we weren't really sure what to expect. And we got there, and it was a room full of people ready to be inspired, and the energy was amazing. And I especially loved that right off the bat you got us to do this exercise where we just started writing down our dreams.
Yeah.
And that could be anything from I want to have the fittest year of my life next year to this is what I want to start a business and this is what it's going to look like. And I think what was so cool about it is that I've never seen, like, I almost want to call it a meditation done in that way, where like I felt like my brain was being like cracked open, nice. And it was like really, really like this cool new version of wellness, I guess, that you're really promoting, which is so cool. And so we really want to encourage our listeners to go out and find your book and do the exercise in there, because it's amazing. I also bought it for my best friend recently for her birthday.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we left super inspired ourselves, and we'd been writing down as many dreams as we could, and then we kind of went away and we had a read of your book, and we saw that you kind of lay out how to create these smart dreams and how to create these steps and goals to really achieve your dream. So just to give you a little bit about what we're doing at the moment. So we're in a really fortunate place where we've grown our brand, which was first launched as a blog almost 7 years ago, and it's taken us on this crazy journey where we've worked with a whole lot of brands, and we've gotten to do so many things and gotten so many incredible opportunities, and we're now at a kind of turning point where we've started to hire some staff, and we're really looking to commercialize what we do and to take it to the next level. So we thought we could use our dream journal to kind of put our goals out there, our dreams and our goals, and turn them into tangible actions. So we've done this exercise, and we thought we could kind of run you through what we've done so far and get your feedback on it. I think when we started to write, we were like, is this too big of a dream? Which obviously you've said to us today, that's not a thing.
No, I don't think, I haven't heard a dream that is too big yet, but maybe today.
I don't think so. Now that we've heard about, straight off the bat, you were like, I'm going to start a global brand. That's pretty much where we're going with this. So our dream is for How to Live to become a key global fashion and lifestyle brand that inspires women positively every day.
Easy.
Not too big, right?
Easy. yeah, just like a regular Wednesday. So would you usually encourage people to create this like overarching dream and then have dreams within that? Or are you just straight away going from there and then, okay, step by step, here's the
dream? There's a few different ways of doing it, but this is a dream I'm assuming is going to be one that you're going to do some actions around, It's not
we have the 7 steps. We have the 7 steps.
Oh, fantastic. So for those people who haven't read the book or haven't been to the masterclass, from the 101 dreams, we encourage people to choose 3. And the reason is because 101 is an overwhelming amount. So if you get to 101, it's also important to say that 101 doesn't have to be in one hit. It could be over a year, it could be over whatever. And 101 is only really to inspire people to put a lot on paper, not really necessarily having to do 101. But then we want to encourage people to choose 3, whatever comes to mind that they want to achieve. So it could be a long term, it could be a short term. And the reason for 3 is because 3 is a manageable number in terms of if you choose 10, you might just do a little bit on each and not actually achieving any of them. So 3, I think, is a good number. But I often have 5, and it all depends a little bit on your ambitions on what you want to do and how much time you have. But if you have chosen that as your number 1 or one of your 3 or whatever numbers you're doing, then we encourage everyone to write down whatever possible action can be done. So for you, that could be like easily 100 actions.
Totally. We had trouble narrowing it down to 7.
So and I love that because it's so much fun when you actually don't have to do anything first. Like you can just say, well, if we're going, what are the potential mini dreams, but also all the actions that we need to do, and that is so fun in itself, because I think doing what would we do if we couldn't fail in that dream, that gives you unlimited amount of things that you potentially could do. Like you could collaborate with massive brands, small up and coming brands, or you can do the globals thing, and what does that mean in terms of what countries, etc. I mean, it's so exciting. I feel like I want to join your journey. But
you're very welcome to join the journey, by the way.
But it's so exciting and also very overwhelming. So the 7 actions, or the 7 things out of that action list, is because there are so much we can do, and you never ever, whatever you do in life, you always feel you can do more. So I encourage people to choose 7 steps, because if you can only do 7 steps, what would they be?
Yeah.
And they are, it's a really good time to, and it's a bit annoying because it's like, oh, there's so many I want to do, and how do I choose it, and do I do big ones or small ones? But the good thing is that often that brings you to actually really being, focus on what would move the needle the most. So for example, if you want to go global, who do you need to help you? For example, that's one question I always ask first, like, who are those people that could potentially help you? Who has done it before? Maybe one of the key steps is like, maybe I need to spend an hour, identify all those people who's done it before, or someone I can have a coffee with. So, and it doesn't mean that you can't add more of those few hundred steps that you have identified. You can do that later, but just really thinking about what are the most important that will move the needle the closest to your dreams. And then you do all those, and then out of that will come more, and it's just kind of, then you're on the way. So cool. Then you get that to that roadmap and really making it happen.
Yeah, and I love the idea of really enjoying the journey as well. Like it's fun when you're on your way to achieving your dreams. I think no one loves to be in like a mundane, like everyday job where you're not feeling inspired or you're not really enjoying yourself. But having these steps means that you're really like starting to get the most out of your life, and is really, really cool.
Yeah, and then it comes back to that again, that why not enjoy? Our purpose at kikki.K is to inspire people to live their best life, and we do that under 4 words, and everything that we do is around those 4 words. And the number 1 is dreaming, because I think that's where it starts, and then of course doing is number 2. Do is number 2, and that is because no dreams will happen unless you do some work. Unfortunately, we can't just write them down and not do anything. And then the third one is enjoy, because every day should be enjoyed. And that sometimes, we all have challenging days, and we all have tough days, and things happens out of our control, and people get sick and passes away, and all those kind of things are a part of life. But enjoying could mean just recharging, have a quiet cup of tea, have a walk, do whatever you need to do to recharge and be able to do all those things and enjoy it every day. And for me, that means like journaling and having a cup of tea, or this most simple stuff is what I enjoy most. And then the last one is sharing, because I do believe that wherever you are in life, there's always someone less fortunate than you, and also always someone who are starting their journey that might need some help. So everyone has a story that they can share to help people creating their dream life.
Great.
Sure,
So
yeah,
No, that's great.
Everything you say, like. So our first step in our, is it first mini dream? Is it, or our first action point?
Yeah.
So our first action point for our dream is launch a podcast.
Yes.
So we said launch a podcast documenting how we're building our business, recording our sessions with powerful, successful females and mentors, and being completely transparent with our listeners about our journey.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, what we're doing here today.
Yeah, so we can tick that one, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, we got
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Done.
absolutely.
I think a lot of our action points that we set are ongoing, and I feel really inspired now after speaking to you to go back and kind of put some things down that we can do tomorrow. You know, like meeting with people who would we want to meet with.
Yeah.
Not just.
Yeah, and like even like writing down specific brands, like we had written down, I'm skipping ahead here, but partnering with other retailers like around the world to collaborate. And I feel like maybe if we would set down, who are the brands that we actually see us sitting alongside, that could be a cool way to further that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I also think, the next step after creating all that is to then create some visuals, because I'm a very visual person. I'm imagining you guys are as well.
Yes.
That you can then create a vision board so you can actually see it and be reminded every day. There's just nothing more powerful.
Yeah, I love this concept of a vision board. I've actually never done one.
Yeah.
No, and we actually know somebody who is now friends with Oprah through putting Oprah on her vision board.
Right.
So it just really, speaks to the power of vision boards.
They really seem magical.
Yeah, and it's a reminder, not just, I think also, there's a big piece on just, if you put it out there, it's more likely to happen because, you talk about it and you live and breathe it in another way if you're reminded, because I think some of us, might set a New Year's resolution and after 3 weeks you actually can't remember what you had because you write it down once and then you don't actually look at it again. So I think the key is to really look at that every day, and for some listeners here who might share an apartment or might share a room or don't want to share their dreams, because not everyone wants to do that, although I think that's super powerful as well, is that we now created what we call a vision board book. It's basically an A4 spiral journal with thick paper that you can glue your pictures or whatever you want to do, and I love that because one of my dreams is to be the fittest I've ever been, and so there's like a lot of fitness people and a lot of quotes and all those things that remind me when I do not want to exercise or rather be sleeping in the morning. I read that and to remember why I'm doing this, and I think it's really important as well.
And I love that goal is the dream rather, I love that dream is to be the fittest you've ever been. So you're not comparing yourself to anyone else, you're just going after what's going to better you.
Yeah, I have this thing, but I don't know if I'm going to achieve it this year, but it's that every birthday I should be fitter than the birthday before.
Oh, cool.
And just to keep me, really, and then, when I say fit, it doesn't mean that I have to look in a certain way. It's more like, always, daily do some movement and
feeling good, energized.
Yeah, exactly. Because you need that to create your dream life. Yeah. So if you want to do, if you want to create big dreams, you need to. Sorry.
No, you're right.
When you have big dreams, you need to have the energy, and that's one of the reasons why we had Dr. Libby on our masterclass, because she is a living proof of living and breathing health. So we need all that too. Otherwise, if you don't have health, you can't create your dream life. So it's really important that we look after ourselves.
Totally. So just to continue on our action points, we've got number 2 is launch howtolive.com as an online platform that provides inspiring and exciting content, as well as a shopping destination showcasing emerging and established designers. So we're working on that at the moment, which we're really excited about, and that'll be launching hopefully around April next year.
Yeah, love it.
Number 3 is create an in-house label for How to Live. These are very big action points.
Yeah, and they're also very long, like we got really in depth.
Yeah,
continue.
Create an in-house label for How to Live to sit alongside our footwear label tubes with fashion and accessories that are produced thoughtfully. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's really important to us is, ethically produced, as we said, no animals, being conscious of the environment.
Yeah, great.
Number 4 is host monthly events with sponsorship partners for our community to connect, engage and share in experiences.
Yeah, love it.
Number 5 is hold regular pop-up shops for people to come in and experience the brand in person. Number 6 is create retail partnerships globally in order to expand the reach of the How to Live movement, because we thought that would be a really great way to expand our reach overseas is by, wholesaling to retail partners, which is obviously something you've really utilised to build your business.
Yeah. So they are great actions, they're big actions. You probably need them to break that down even further to make sure that you are thinking through maybe the 7th step out of those, because they're really big. But
for sure, they're huge.
Yeah, but they're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And then number 7 is to encourage other women to start their own businesses by using part of our profits for grants and also offering mentorships, which we really want to pass on.
Yeah.
So, I think you're leaving us with a lot to think about. And I think we've kind of created 7 dreams within that one dream, and now we're going to go away and break those down even further.
Yeah, I love that. The last one that you were talking about in terms of helping others, which I love, and we all want to do that. But one of my mentors many years ago always said to me, you look after yourself first, and then you look after others. Because if you, and it's a really one thing that's stuck with me, because we work with lots of different charity partners, but in the beginning we actually didn't so much, because we felt like we needed to have a healthy business and be able to survive, because small business is really tough. But like even if you have a really thriving business, it goes ups and down, and so maybe have a think about if you want to park that one, just to put a little challenge out there, because because sometimes there's a lot of pressure in starting a small business, and then having promised something like that could be harder. And I was actually discussing that with the Dr. Tara Trent, and she was saying the same thing, that so many people put that out there and then they feel that pressure.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because we've started this thing called Two Good Grants, and we're giving our first grant through Tubes.
Yeah.
It's a $5,000 grant to a small business as well as mentorship, and it's really interesting that you say that because we actually came up with this about 6 months ago. I think we put the first round of applications out there, and it's taken us a really long time to actually find the time to sit down and to look through. We got 150 applications for our first round, sorting through those applications, creating a shortlist, going back to them, interviewing again, and we've had people writing to us being like, what's happened to this? Was this like a fake thing that I signed up to? And we're like, no, not at all. It's just really hard for us to find the time to dedicate to this, and we're really passionate about it. But it's really interesting that you say that, and obviously we're going to go ahead with this first grant, but maybe it is something that we need to relook at.
Maybe just say, well, maybe we're just going to put a pause for another year, or, I'm not saying, and you can always do things to help people anyway, but just having those, promises out there where because if you're not delivering them, you're going to let your community down, but also yourself. And, and I think sometimes having a business on our own is hard enough with the pressure. So maybe just say that and maybe that is what you're doing. Obviously you're doing that one now, and that you can learn so much from that, and maybe next time I say, well, we're just going to take a year, focus on making sure that we can survive the way we are, and then you can do it again. So
we appreciate that feedback.
Because I remember getting that from one of my mentors, and she said, hey, you need to look after yourself first, and then you look after others, and the more successful you are, the more you can do that. And we see that with the massive brands. Obviously they can do so much more because they are having sustainable business models, but for smaller business that's always harder.
I actually listened to a podcast about that, taking care of yourself before you take care of others. And I love the way the interviewer put it. He was talking about, imagine yourself as a teacup and there's a saucer underneath you, and you need to always make sure your teacup is full, and then you can give people the overflow that's falling onto the saucer. And I think that was just like such a cool visual that it gave me. I was like, instantly clicked, wow, that's
a good
so
one to put on your vision board.
To
see it every day, because sometimes we do remember. I mean, it's starting a small business, it's really hard, and a startup, and it takes years before you feel like have you made it or not. So I think looking after yourself in the process is so important. So that's a good one to put on your vision board. If you're creating one.
Definitely, I'll be creating one.
Oh yeah, well that's like next on our to-do list tonight. My dream is to create a vision board.
That's actually interesting in terms of like being a small business where we're at now, and the amazing, incredibly humongous business that you have grown. Is there anything in the early days that was happening that you miss now, that we should kind of be talking about that, enjoying the journey? Is there anything we should be like really appreciate this, because I really miss this? Is there anything?
Every journey has its own minus and negatives. So when we started, I remember hearing so many people telling me people are the most challenging, and I was like, oh, don't complain about people, I just want someone to help me. So I was like, I just want to help, because we felt like we did the dream list, and we was like, we have so much potential, and we couldn't do it because we didn't have enough people, and we didn't have enough money to employ people to do it all. So that's one thing, because once you get bigger, then you have resources, but then you have the challenge of not always getting your way, or always making your vision or your dream clear enough for other people to understand. So there's positive and negative in everything, and that is another thing that I really live and breathe by. It's like, being a small business is positive because you're hands-on everything, and you love it, and you work really hard, and you can see the changes you're making. And the negative is that you can't do it all, because you just don't have. We only have 24 hours. And then when you are bigger, you have all these people. Which the positive is like you can employ people much smarter than yourself, and that is really positive. And I love that. But then you can't be part of everything. So that's a negative. So there is a positive and negative on everything. And if you realize that early, then you can go through the journey in a much more even pace versus this up and down where you'd be like, oh, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that, and then you get to that, it's like, oh, I wish I would, because one of the things that I loved in the startup is that I was seeing everything and I was meeting every customer, and obviously now being in over 100 stores, I'm lucky if I get to 100 stores in a year. It's just I don't. So there is a positive and negative with everything, but enjoying the journey. And I think that's similar to having a child. Like I was saying, Axel is moving to middle school now, and I'm like, I wish I could stop this now because I want them to move into a bigger school and you don't have the same visibility of what they're doing, etc. So I think you just have to enjoy every part of your business or your life as it is, and then know that in every stage there's a positive and a negative.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, thank you. We'll definitely try to remember that. And we do. We've started to get a lot of big wins, and we don't just stop and appreciate and celebrate them because you're just kind of like, what's next?
It's a very entrepreneurial thing to do.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think was most useful for me and what made me not burn out, I think, in my theory, but maybe I'm completely wrong, but this is what I believe, and often when you believe it, it's what happens, is that I used a A5 notebook, and I did unconscious writing every morning about the problems that I was trying to solve, or the issues that I was having, or something that was on my mind. And I just wrote about it, whatever came to mind, and I threw it away. So it was basically like, complaining or whinging or getting things out from your body, but not to anyone else. So that has been amazing. I still do that, not every day, but I do a lot of that in my personal life, in my business, I write whatever comes to mind. And sometimes we just have things that is on our mind, but we can't really kind of not know what's right and what's wrong, and especially in this connected world where you don't actually have a lot of time to disconnect, because if you have a moment on yourself, we often catch ourselves looking at Instagram or connecting with someone or making a phone call, because I'm like, if I could do two things, driving and talk.
Totally. Or listening to podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. So I think having that, I talk about that in the book, to create your holy hour, in the morning, have an hour for yourself, think, write, look at your dreams, and maybe do some of the exercises in the book, or some of the actions out of your dreams is really important, and that what makes you move forward as well.
Amazing. So cool. Okay, well, this has been the most helpful hour ever. I literally feel like I've read kikki.K products cover to cover, and I feel like I'm just taking all of this knowledge away, that I really am so excited about this. But we thought, before we wrap it up, quickly, we'd love to do some quick fire questions.
Absolutely.
So the first one we have here is, if you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oprah Winfrey. I like this combination because I think it would be so powerful. They're all in. Can I have a few more?
You can have 5 if you like.
So I'm an entrepreneur, I'm pushing boundaries all the time.
You're dreaming bigger.
So I think the people in my book, Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Dr. Ryan Trent, Stella McCartney, Richard Branson. I mean, imagine.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Can we come to this dinner? Jess and Stef.
I think, having those kind of powerful people in terms of what they can do to the world, for the world, I should say, would be incredible. And just imagine the discussions and the actions, and, it would be amazing.
Totally, great answer.
What cuisine would you be eating at this fabulous dinner party?
Oh, this is
That's a bonus question, yeah.
Well, I would, because I want to focus on the conversation, I would completely delegate it. I'm a bit of a control freak, so I would make sure beforehand that it's all thought through, but I would probably do Swedish. Swedish kind of fare with lots of different, like a smorgasbord, but in a positive, healthy, nice way, not the ones that we sometimes eat in big buffet and eat all you can eat. It's more.
Okay, it sounds fresh and delicious.
It sounds absolutely delicious. And speaking of Sweden, our next question is, how many times have you flown between Sweden and Australia?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
Over 30?
Oh yeah.
Over 50, do you think?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
long
you
trip.
must rack up some good miles.
Yes, I certainly do. I mean, been here for 22 years, and it's over 50 for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't actually want to think about that.
Okay, sorry.
So
We'll move to the next one.
I constantly feel like I'm jet lagged. But very fortunate that we can fly home, and I have my mom and my sister and my 2 nieces coming next week, and I'm so grateful that we can do that. So I'm not complaining, but I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot.
So the next one, if you could give all your money away to one organisation, what would it be?
Or one charity.
Charity organisation.
So I would give my money to Dr. Tara Trent's Foundation, because not only will it support her schools, but I feel like she has such a voice in the world to promote and really working hard towards everyone getting an education that is not available for everyone now. So I would do that.
Yeah, she does such incredible work, and again, we definitely encourage everyone to go and listen to your podcast with her and hear more about the amazing work of Dr. Tara Trent. Next question is, what movie makes you cry?
I think Life is Beautiful, that movie.
Oh my god, I can't watch that movie.
What movie is that?
Life is Beautiful.
Have I seen it?
I don't think you have. It's set in the Holocaust.
That would make me cry.
I mean, it
as
makes
well.
me cry, but also for all sorts of different reasons. But it also, it's and I think it's also one of my favorite movies, because there's sadness, but there's also hope, and there is positivity, and there is there's hope in that movie. I love that movie, and that makes me cry.
Okay, I'll have to see it.
Yeah.
And the last question we have for you, which is great because it goes in line with you want to be the fittest you've ever been on this birthday. What's your favorite kind of exercise?
I think my favorite is walking. If you allow that to be an exercise, some people don't
We allow
always
it.
feel that. Yeah. I think walking is something everyone can do, but also for me, that's where I spend when I live in Sweden, which I do a few months each year. I live very close to the forest, and every single morning I walk out there, and I feel like I'm craving it. I feel like I need it. I feel like that's when a lot of my ideas comes up. So it's an exercise where I'm moving, but it's not hard so that I can't focus on anything else but the exercise. So I love walking, but because I'm going to push boundaries here, I also love yoga, and yoga I think is good for strength, flexibility, but also for your head. So it's a really beautiful combination.
You have a fellow yogi right here.
Yeah.
Me.
Jess is
Hello.
also very into yoga.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, I think of myself as an addict, and I'm like, is it okay if I'm addicted to a positive thing? I think it is.
Absolutely, and I think it's so good because again, you can do that anywhere. Like you can. There's so much online now. So if you need to just do it in a hotel room, I travel so much, so sometimes that's what I need to do. But I also love seeking out. I think it was a couple of years ago I decided to every Saturday try a new yoga studio, because every year I try to do something a little bit different, not to live the same. Robin Sharma, one of my he would also be invited to the dinner, by the way. I love Robin Sharma.
6, okay, fine.
8, because we're coming from that.
But I think the quote is in my book, but make sure you don't live the same life 75 times and call it a life. So I met him a few years ago. I read all his books, and he's been one of my coaches, and I am very inspired by him. And after doing all his work, I decided that every year would be something different. So I always try to think about how can I do something, and sometimes it's educational. So I might do a course or something. So that will get me to a different state of mind. Might be that I'm reading loads of books, or it might be this year I've done no alcohol for a year. So it could be whatever it comes to mind. But one year was to try a different yoga studio every Saturday, which I
Okay, we'll have to discuss after what your favorite was.
Well, yeah, I think we can really see now how you are a self-improver, because You know, I think that it's just so easy to kind of go through life and get caught up in work and whatever's just in front of you and all the mundane things, but it's really incredible that you kind of take yourself out of that. And I think you've given us so many incredible tools. We've been writing all these notes down that we're going to go away and utilize now for sure.
Thank you. No, thank you. And thank you for what you guys are doing. You are a younger version, so you are going to inspire so many people that are behind you. So I am inspired to hear what you guys are doing, and I will follow you, and if I can ever help, please sing out.
Thank you so much.
And on that, where can we follow you if our listeners want to hear more about you?
Yes, so obviously kikki.K have an Instagram, and I also have a private one, which is Kristina kikki.K. So at Kristina kikki.K, where I often share what I'm doing, what I'm reading, my trips, and it's really just to inspire people to live their dream life. So that's basically it for me, because I don't really spend a lot of time on Facebook. I don't really have a lot of time for social media, and I don't spend a lot of time because I get much more books read, but people can definitely connect through Instagram is the best way, and also our website where we have blogs
and your fabulous podcast.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I forget about that. We have a podcast. So Your Dream Life podcast by me.
Amazing.
We have some amazing guests coming up. I'm super excited. So
great, we can't wait to listen. And obviously we encourage everyone to go out and get your book as well. Your Dream Life starts here.
Thank you. And also, can I also share one more thing that I think is really valuable for your listeners? And so we've done so obviously you get the book and you can do the exercises, but sometimes that's hard to do your exercises on your own. So you can join a workshop in our stores where we have a facilitator, and it's a 3-part workshop. So you can almost the people who go to it almost become your support group, which is a really because sometimes when we have all the good intention to read the book, and then all the exercises you do the first one, and then you kind of think, oh, it's too hard. But if you have someone that you're going to meet someone in 2 weeks time again, you'll do the work. So that's one way. And another way is to so if you don't have access to one of our stores, because we're obviously not global everywhere yet, and so you can also listen to our audio files on our website. So it's just kikki.K/Dream Life, and you will find some free recordings what I've done to inspire people, similar to what we did to masterclass when I was talking you through those questions. What would do if you couldn't fail. So I've recorded those, so that's a free guide that people can access at any given time if they need some help dreaming.
Amazing. That's so cool. Okay, well, thank you so much again. It was so nice to have you on our podcast.
And thank you for saying yes to us. It was a very exciting first interview for us.
And dream big. I don't need to say that, but do put your vision board together, and I cannot wait to see what you guys achieve. I have no doubt that it's going to be massive. Thank you.
Thanks so much.